Hey viewers, my name's Cara, and I'm going to tell you what I did today for Samhain. It is the day before Halloween, but I celebrated Samhain this morning with my college's newly established UU club, Dove and Chalice, and there was a group of 5 of us? Yes, there were 5 of us, and we met at the main building. I had to print some things off for my reference, and then we walked over to one of the English houses. We have classes in houses, so English house, but English department building. And there is a large garden behind the building and a path leading into the woods. And in the woods, there is a flat-topped stone Dionysus statue type thing. And we have them all over campus. A lot of the time, they're 2 stone things with flat bases, and they have kind of like a Green Man-esque face on them, but there are grapes, so we tend to think that it's Dionysus. Oftentimes there's 2 of them and there's a board across the top, so it forms a bench. In this case, there's just one back in the woods, and it was designed to kind of draw your eye down the path to create a sense of depth, and now the path is a little bit off, so you can't actually see it until you go back there. So my roommate and I were exploring on campus day, and we found this garden, so we decided to walk back there to do our ritual. I basically got to lead it because I'm the only practicing pagan at all in the group, and so definitely the only Wiccan. And so I just wanted us to do a little small thing. So we set up an altar, which was just consisted of 2 white tea light candles for God and Goddess, and 4 red apple cinnamon scented tea light candles for the 4 points, and we didn't even light any of those candles. They were just there because it was too windy to really light all of the unnecessary candles. And then we had our Dove and Chalice Club chalice in the center at the back, so we could light that as usual. And my roommate said the candle lighting blessing from her UU church, which was really nice. I really liked it. So we did that. And in the center, we just had our plate and our cup of the foods and apple cider that we would be using. So we had apples and wheat thins and apple cider. And so the first thing I had them do was ground and center, and I kind of took them through a very short version of the one I do. And then I had them go around and just around in the area and pick up leaves, pretty leaves or twigs or anything that they wanted to represent their ancestors that we would be honoring. And then we came back to the circle. I had them do a little purification of self and space because I didn't have my smudge sticks or anything like that, and I forgot to grab a container for salt water, so I didn't even have that. But one of the girls had a hymn, one of the UU hymns called Mother Earth Beloved Garden, and it was also kind of calling in the elements, so we did that as our space purification via sound and calling in the quarters at the same time, and that was really nice. And I will put a link in the description to the lyrics and where you can find a generated music version of the hymn. I really liked it, so I encourage you to check it out. After that, I had everyone just close their eyes and think for a moment about their ancestors and other people or animals who have passed, who have meant something to us that they wanted to honor. And then I said that we could do it either out loud or to ourselves, but we all chose to say names out loud. We would put down each leaf in the center of the altar and name the person that we wanted to honor for that leaf. So I had 4 leaves, 1 for my grandfather, 1 for Mystery Starlight, my cat who passed last year, 1 for a family friend who passed a few years ago, and 1 leaf collectively for all the rest of my ancestors that I may or may not know the names of. And then we left those in the center of the altar, and then I had them do a petition magic spell, because Samhain is a time for getting rid of weakness, mostly in terms of slaughtering the animals that are too weak to make it through the winter so that they could prepare for the upcoming winter months. And for us, getting rid of weakness means trying to get rid of what we feel our weaknesses are. So we had scrap pieces of paper and pens, and we wrote down what we perceive our weaknesses to be that we want to get over and overcome, and then we burned those in the chalice candle and set the ashes in a cup and dump out the ashes at the end, which actually we forgot, so we have to go back and get the cup, so because it's still sitting there. And most of us chose to not read our weaknesses out loud, but it was actually funny because a couple of us tried to burn our pieces of paper, and the flame literally moved away from the piece of paper. So after a few seconds, we were all able to burn them, but I know for me, the time that the flame got away from me was the one thing that I perceive to be my strongest weakness, if that makes any sense, my biggest weakness that I really want to get rid of. And the flame was running away from it, and so they were all joking, oh, the flame's running away from you, and I said, yeah, so am I, because that was the thing that I'm really afraid to get over, and so it continued to move away. And I just took a second and took a deep breath and thought, okay, really need to get over this. It might not happen right away, but I need to work on this. I need to let it go. And the moment that I really focused on that, my paper caught fire, so I was able to finally burn it. And so I think that may have been why some other people were also experiencing the same thing. It may have been something that was really difficult for us. And then we did a simple feast using the apples and wheat thins and apple cider, and I cut the apple horizontally down the middle, which, you know, shows the 5-pointed star thing, and my roommate said, oh my gosh, I haven't done this since kindergarten, so it was really cool. And we passed around half of the apple and said, may you never hunger, took a bite of it, passed it around, and then the same thing with the apple cider, may you never thirst. I don't know if that's something that everyone does as their simple feast, but that's what we used to do in the fellowship, the spiritualist fellowship that my mother and I used to attend with our friends. We tried to make it universal that way, so I had them do that, and then we set aside that apple and some of the wheat thins and the rest of that cider from that cup. We set that aside to be buried for the spirits and our ancestors. And then I did a little impromptu thanking and releasing the quarters, because I hadn't planned on calling them, but then we sang that song, so I thought I should release them. So I said, thank you for attending, and all my usual stuff to release. And then we each ate our own apples and had our cider and just talked for a little while, and then we buried the apple and the cider and the wheat thins that we had used in the ritual, and then we buried some extra apples in the earth there as well to feed the spirits on their way. And we also took some of the apples that were a little bit too mushy that we didn't want to offer to spirit, tossed that out into the woods for the animals to eat now. So while they're still alive, they should have food too. I really enjoyed it. I think it went really well. A friend of mine who has participated in some pagan-esque rituals before, because he has a Wiccan friend who is very different from me, so I'm sure it was a weird experience for this friend of mine to have two different viewpoints of it. He said that it was very interesting, so that made me feel good too. So that was fun, and that's what we did, and I didn't record anything during it. I apologize for that, but I thought that it would be too detracting from what was going on. So I hope that you all had a blessed Samhain, or have a blessed Samhain, since it's actually tomorrow, which is maybe when you'll see this video, unless I get it up tonight. I don't know. So I hope you had or will have a Merry Samhain or Beltane if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. I hope that is fun also for you. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time with whatever I come up with to talk about then. So, see you later. Blessed be.